Hey y'all, welcome back to Key is King. Today we are getting into Season 5, Episode 1, the premiere of the main event of Bravo this fall, which is the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I am so excited. We are here, the entertainment is here, and we are getting ready to get into some stuff. Like, whew, so much happened in this first episode, it was actually kind of nuts. But let's get into it. So we open the season with just the Emmy Award-winning quality of the editing team. The editing team for Salt Lake City clearly loves what they do. They clearly have fun with what they do, and it shows because the opening shots are just chef's kiss. They're doing this behind the scenes kind of look at the confessionals, so it shows the women kind of getting set up, getting ready, and I live for that. You know what I don't live for though, is Heather Gay. She is seemingly the only one that is wearing, like, clearly a very nice top and just very clearly ugly, like, pants, which, mind you, they're in a confessional, they're sitting down, they're getting shot from the waist up, but, my love, you knew that they were shooting this behind-the-scenes look and you didn't get, like, fully dressed? Strike one in the many strikes of the Heather Gay I don't like you book. But, I digress. It was just, I love the quality of the editing, I love the way they always put it together with the montages. But then we get into the season opener, which is none other than baby gorgeous Lisa Barlow, which in my opinion, she is the queen of Salt Lake City. You can argue with your mom, you can argue with your best friend. I'm not asking for your opinion because Lisa's the queen. And the reason I say that Lisa's the queen is that she's been there since season 1. She fought Jen Shaw, who was like now in prison as we know, but was like the thug of the group, and she did not care. She's fought almost every other of these women and has been fearless. She's just self-absorbed enough to be tolerable, but still kind of delusional and kooky and crazy. But she is the queen, in my opinion. Nobody else has the pizzazz, I guess stamina. Yeah, stamina is a good word. But nobody has that. Lisa's really that girl. Like I said, argue with your mama. But we open with Lisa. She's kind of going through where she's been, catching us up on her life. She claims that the stuff that they went through with Jen last year Monica last year was worse than the stuff that they went through with Jen. Jen went to prison. She's currently in jail. Shout out to Jen. Shout out to everyone in lockup, as Wendy used to say. But she's in jail. She scammed mad old people out of their money. And Lisa claims that the whole FBI SWAT team raid is not as bad as Monica being a burner account on Instagram. So, interesting take, but Lisa's throwing a Bezos party because it is Valentine's Day in Utah and the world beyond, for that matter, at the time. And she's really coming in. She's coming in hot. She's coming in as Lisa. She comes into her party. Everything is like, move this here, move that there. We find out that Lisa hates angles, apparently. She comes in and she's like, I hate angles. Put everything straight on. Everything straight on. So, Lisa's being Lisa. We transition into some of these like kind of flashback scenes as Lisa's talking, and this is another thing that the editing team really did. Just so fun and entertaining to me. It's like they would have a conversation and they'd flashback a few weeks prior, and it would have them talking about whatever they were talking about. So the flashback scenes were Lisa coming in and just kind of being her usual self. The flashback scenes where Lisa coming in and being herself was a great way to open it. She's opened seasons before, and it's kind of like her rightful place, I must say. But after the Lisa intro and her party set up, we get into Mary and Angie, who are arriving to this party together. They have matching purses, matching sunglasses, and apparently are the new best friend duo of Salt Lake City. And let me tell you, I'm here for it. Because Mary is hilarious. First of all, seeing Mary back on my screen gives me the serotonin, dopamine, whatever those chemicals are. I'm no scientist, but Mary's that girl. Like, you want to talk about that girl? Mary is so funny. Even if she's a cult leader, even if she fucked her step-grandfather to have a child, even if she did whatever she did, Mary is funny, and she needs to be on this show. Once again, fight with your mama, I do not care. Mary is hilarious. Mary has no filter. Mary barely has common sense sometimes, which is why she gets away with being so hilarious. But I just love that Mary is back as a full-time housewife. And I think we have Mary to thank for even having Salt Lake City to begin with. I think she was the OG. So, shout out to Mary. And Angie being her bestie is just great because Angie is camp. Angie is hilarious. And if you don't know what camp means, look it up because I'm not a gay dictionary. But, sorry, sometimes my sass just can't be controlled. Mary and Angie are the perfect duo. Mary's funny, Angie's funny too, but Angie's like proppy and campy, as we'll get into. But they have seemed to form this genuine bond, a sisterhood, if you will, and I love it as the viewer. My first thought, though, seeing Mary on my screen is that I hope you still don't like Heather, because this is not a Heather Gay household, okay? Sorry, we are not doing Heather Gay. And as we are speaking of Heather Gay, she is one of the first people after Angie and Mary to arrive, and her new Ozempic face come in teeth first, and she's just so happy to have lost weight, which I can relate to being happy about losing weight, but Heather is just annoying. It's not the same. They not like us. But Heather has lost Ozempic. She's promoting the fact that she's done Ozempic to lose her weight. She's clearly feeling herself, and she's just annoying. She's always messy. She's a pick-me girl. And she comes in feeling herself with her friend. She brought a friend of Brittany, who we'll get into a little bit later. But she walks up to Mary, and Mary's like, oh my god, is that Heather? Like, wow, she does look good, because compared to being a linebacker before, she looks great. But Heather takes this as, well, all it took was me losing 25 pounds for Mary to love me. Who said Mary loved you? Did you hear Mary say that? But this is why I don't like Heather, because she's such a pick-me. She thinks that losing weight is a reason for people to like her now. I cannot with Heather Gay. After the flat entrance of Heather, we have the tens across the board entrance of our newest housewife, Bronwyn. Now baby, in a land where entrances and first impressions matter, Bronwyn made a statement. She came in with her, I think it's Yves Saint Laurent. She has this big, rounded, heart-shaped fur jacket. It was amazing. She stopped the party. Everybody turned around to look at her. She just came in with confidence. She came in like she knew she was that girl. And it really landed for me. Some people hated it. I personally loved it. It was a moment. It was a moment. And she came in reading immediately, which I love. Lisa said something about Heather's dress, like, oh yeah, Heather's wearing a Moschino dress. And Bronwyn immediately was like, that's latex, that's not Moschino. That's the type of shit I'm here for. I need petty fashion bitches. Like, that's what, talk about the chemicals, it makes it go off. But once again, just as previous scenes, they flash back to Lisa and Bronwyn going to lunch a few weeks ago. Lisa just kind of giving her an intro to the group. And Bronwyn is wearing a puffer jacket, like a half jacket though, like a bomber jacket, pretty much. A puffer little bralette and what looked to be like bathing suit bottoms, probably like some type of underwear cut things. But it's 37 degrees on a Tuesday in Utah. She just casually, 10 a.m., strolling into this restaurant. So I live for that. And she seems not to take herself too seriously, which is something I appreciate in a housewife. I think they need to be a little silly, a little fashiony, a little able to move on, but like I think Bronwyn just has the energy and the aura of a housewife, so the people that are hating on her, I think just don't like new things, really, which happens with every housewife. Everybody has something to hate all the fucking time. But I liked Bronwyn. I thought she came in, I thought her energy was good, and any bitch that's going to come in and start reading right away is good in my book. Read them. Read them. After the high energy entrance of Bronwyn, we have the very low energy entrance of Meredith. Meredith comes in her matronly fur coat because, just a side note, Lisa is throwing half of her party outside in Utah in February. So if you need a moment for that to sink in, she has these women outside in February, one of the most bitter months of the entire calendar year, in Utah, just outside. So everyone's wearing fur coats, some better than others, some more successfully than others. But Meredith, and this mommy fur, she needs some oil. She needs like some body oil, she needs some personality oil, whatever pills that she usually takes, she needs to take ones that like loosen her up, because right now she's taking like, whatever pill she's taking, I thought pills were supposed to make you like a little loose in the spine, she is stiff. Whatever pill she's taking, they're making her stiff. She needs like a stool softener, a personality softener, a voice softener. You need to get Meredith a pill that softens you. Maybe estrogen? Okay, I'm being mean. But Meredith is just so stiff, and it makes it so hard to root for her sometimes, because just loosen up. Like, you are a rich white woman. Why are you so stiff? You should be. Please, let it be me. I digress. But Meredith is here. She's mad at Whitney. Shocker. The world is apparently mad at Whitney. Whitney is coming in as the main op this season. Like, numero 1. See, this is what happens when you talk shit. God will just twist your tongue right up. But, sorry God, I'm happy that Whitney's coming in as op number 1, because I cannot do Whitney all the time. Whitney talks in her little baby doll voice. She says the word healing as hilling. So there's things on my Whitney list that I'm just like, I don't want to go on your healing journey with you, Whitney. And what really makes me nervous is that coming in, although Whitney is the main op of the season, which makes me very happy, we know just from like the previews and how chatter before the season gets started goes, that she is going to be paired up with Angie and Mary, who I just have a feeling are going to be my favorite duo. So does that mean I'm going to have to like Whitney? Does that mean Whitney's going to be making sense this season? Because both of those options scare me and I don't want them. Like, I love to not like her, because she's annoying. And she just be talking about nothing. In her baby voice about healing. So I'm like, literal gay boy panic. I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna like Whitney? Am I gonna like Whitney? But we shall see, because things get interesting this first episode, and I can't believe it, honestly. So as Whitney comes into this party as public enemy number 1 for multiple people, she goes right to the people she knows. She doesn't acknowledge Lisa, she doesn't acknowledge Heather or Meredith, which are the OG crew of this show. And so Heather, being the messy bitch that she is, she's like, oh, Lisa, did Whitney come and like say anything to you? Did she say hi? This is your party, you know? Because she just has to get it started. And despite Heather being a messy bitch, I have to say I love Lisa's response. Lisa just goes, no, she didn't, but she'll learn she has bad manners soon enough. A plotting bitch. Like, for Housewives, for this setting, I love that type of shit. Because yes, you plot on Whitney. You let her know why she doesn't have manners. I just love the cuntiness of that. But that was just a haha for me. And at this point, we get another little quick filler scene of Heather just bragging about how Ozempic is the reason why she lost weight. She talks a little bit more about her friend Brittany, who is wearing the oldest fur ever seen on TV. Brittany apparently is dating Mormon royalty, which I didn't know the Osmonds, if anybody knows, like Donnie Marie Osmond. I didn't know they were Mormon like that, but apparently they're Mormon, and Brittany's dating their brother, cousin, nephew. And so Brittany has 3 different faces, apparently. Her confessional look, the picture they showed, and then the woman who showed up to the scene, all very different. So I'm not sure who the real Brittany is, but she got about 3 faces in an old-ass fur coat from apparently 150 years ago, because she detailed that the coat she's wearing is her great-grandmother's. That's very sentimental, and it can be sentimental in your closet. Because these are other rich people you're around, and their furs are probably from like this year, not 1822. So once again, this is why Heather can't be trusted, because not only do you bring a friend with 3 faces, she has a 150-year-old coat that she's wearing on national TV. This is why Heather can't be trusted. Although Heather can't be trusted, she inadvertently was the reason why this next scene was so good, because Heather's friend Brittany decides she wants to take her ancient coat over in the middle of Bronwyn and Mary, which Bronwyn, clearly, I described her entrance earlier, she's doing great for herself. Mary's a little kooky, but Mary's a fashion girl too. She loves to put on stuff, she loves to put on a look. So Brittany comes in the middle with her, as Mary described it, a German Shepherd coat. Literally, she said it looks like she took 17 German Shepherds, dyed them red, and made a coat out of it. Now, Heather, why'd you bring your friend to get red like that? Why did you set her up like that? But her friend apparently set herself up, because she comes and sits in the middle of Bronwyn and Mary and immediately goes, oh, Bronwyn, I love your costume. And Bronwyn said, I caught that. Give it back. It's not a costume, but thank you. Thank you, old lady. Jacket, thank you. And so Mary's like, oh no, you can't talk to us like that. Like that is fashion. We are fashion girls. So this woman just proceeds to go on and insult everybody in her radar, in her radius at the time, which is Mary and Bronwyn. So she transitions from costume to, oh Mary, you're a hoarder. Which Mary's like, I will send Jesus for you. I'm not a hoarder. Watch your mouth. I don't know you like that. And so Bronwyn's like, oh, so you just come over here just like dropping bombs. Like, you really, okay. And so this woman goes on to say, well, because Mary was like, well, I came from a family of 5 children. Like, we had to like make sure we had stuff. Like, and she's like, oh yeah, I grew up poor too. Mary said, who? Bitch, I'm not poor. Mary said, no, I'm not poor. You were poor. I'm not poor. And this lady's like, yeah, she doubled down on it. She's like, I'm poor, but yeah, I used to stick bread in my purses to like bring to my family. And Mary's like, that is not okay. So there's nothing this woman can do at this point that's going to get Mary to like get off the fact that she's the worst. So Mary lets her know that you stealing bread to put in your purses to bring to your poor family is not only disgusting, it's not okay. And I don't agree with it. And so at that point, she excused herself from the situation because Mary will pull the plug on a bitch so quick. I know she's a preacher and all that stuff, but Mary will be like, gotta go, church finger, got to go. So Mary moves on, and that is hilarious. We are just getting just the most hilarious confessionals, and I think maybe that's why I'm the most excited for Mary to be back, because her confessionals do not miss. I'm talking head back, cackling so my neighbors could hear, just ugly laughing. I live for Mary's confessional, so I'm so happy she's back to give all these commentaries on the stuff, because we needed that German Shepherd coat comment, because somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it. And then I have to make mention of this one particular flashback scene, because Heather and Meredith look fucking crazy. They look crazy. Meredith looks like a Bratz doll. Like, she clearly got something done in between either filming or, like, you know how sometimes the wives will like kind of get procedures done in anticipation, see, there's that tongue tie again, in anticipation of the season starting. And so Meredith clearly, her whole head looks swollen. Her lips look swollen, her head looks swollen. She's talking about how she had like 3 breast reductions because her breast tissue keeps growing back, and they're growing back bigger, stronger. Apparently breast tissue can grow like weeds, and Meredith, like, I didn't know that. And Heather and her Ozempic teeth and veneers were laughing at her, and Meredith's like, it's not funny. Like, my breast tissue will not stop. But yeah, that was just wild to hear. But Heather looks like she's on drugs because she lost so much Ozempic weight. Meredith looked like she's swollen and a Bratz doll. And they were talking shit about Whitney, and Whitney coming for her bathtub, because those of you that know, that was their whole fighting point, is that Whitney was coming for Meredith's bathtub, because Meredith likes to take baths. And she's the only one on the franchise that can like cement baths as her thing. Yeah, so when I said Meredith needs oil like for her body earlier, she needs oil for her storyline as well, because we can't keep fighting about bathtubs, my love. We cannot keep fighting about bathtubs. But Meredith is flashing back talking about Whitney, and not for nothing, I know I just talked a whole bunch of shit, but I think Whitney is low-key trying to mess with Meredith's psyche, because she knows that Meredith cares so much about a bathtub, because Whitney is promoting something, she's doing bath bombs now, and her picture is like very similar to like the image that Meredith clearly has in her mind about her in her bathtub. So I will add it in post-edit, but it's just funny because Whitney is definitely, I think, low-key gaslighting Meredith, but just enough where Meredith looks absolutely crazy for arguing with her about a bathtub. It's just so funny. But that leads from the flashback into Whitney going over being like, hey Meredith, and Meredith immediately is like, so what's going on with you and the bath bombs? And so they're arguing, and Whitney is low-key eating Meredith up. Whitney's like, well, I've been doing this, like, you just started. And Meredith's like, well, I haven't seen it. And Whitney's like, just because you didn't see it, don't make it true. So Meredith is trying to argue with Whitney. Whitney's like, gaslighting her, and is just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm healing. I don't know. And this is what I'm talking about when I say I might like Whitney this season, because the whole time Meredith is arguing with her, Whitney's like, this is deja vu. Like, you literally started the premiere last year with the same argument. Like, what are we doing? And I have to agree. And then Whitney proceeds to just read Meredith down in her confessionals. Like, read her down. And then leave it to Mary to ask the real question of, why are we fighting about bathtubs and bath products? Like, what is really going on here? And once again, I agree, because what are we doing? Just what are we doing? Somebody please tell somebody. Like, Meredith really needs to hang it up. If I'm agreeing with Whitney on a situation, you're doing something wrong. Because I got good judgment. Baby. But yeah, so that was that. And so as these women are arguing, who comes over but the camp counselor, the camp instructor herself, Angie. Angie damn near pushes Whitney out of the way. She's like, Meredith, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. I have some things to say to you. Whitney's like, fuck it. This was going nowhere anyway. Go ahead, Angie. Have at her. So Angie interrupts and she's like, I heard that you have some things that you want me to apologize to you about because, sidebar, I'm pretty sure it was Heather's messy ass that was like, oh, Meredith said she was really mad at you. Like, I'm not sure what that's about. So Angie's like, I heard you want some apologies and I want some too. So here are the things. And what does Angie do? Angie reaches into her bag and she pulls out a scroll. Like a, hear ye, hear ye. She pulls out a scroll and drops that shit in Meredith's face and is like, I want an apology for X, Y, and Z. Meredith immediately is like, oh, no. And so this clearly created a moment for Angie because in the commercials and all the previews, all you hear is Lisa saying, why does Angie have a scroll? And so Angie's reading her scroll. She's dead ass serious about it too. Like, dead ass serious. We get some very hilarious confessionals from the women about this. But Meredith pretty much pulls her first disengage of the season because she's our disengage ice queen. So Meredith is like, Angie, I didn't do this. I didn't say this. Mind you, half of these people have like weird Utah British accents. Don't know how you get that one. And I love British accents. So like, what are you really doing out in Utah? What are those Mormons doing? Are they British? But it's just hilarious. Meredith like wants nothing to do with it. They're like, okay, whatever. But Angie's like, you want apologies? I want apologies. What are we going to do? But it was just such a hilarious moment. It proved why Angie is the camp counselor of life. That is a campy woman. We move on to Baby Gorgeous giving such a heartfelt speech because this is a Galentine's Day event. So Lisa's talking to the audience about how much she loves everybody and she's like has tears forming. She happened to, I guess, catch Whitney in the corner of her eye and she was like, except you. I don't like you. We have some things to work out. When I tell you those tears dried up so quick when she saw Whitney, she was like, you guys are such good friends, except for you. But mind you, this is why I love this woman. She is on the line of almost bipolar. It makes for great TV. So after Lisa's heartfelt tear no tear speech, she's like, let's go inside in the warmth with heat because it's outside in Utah in February, and like, let's have dinner. Everybody goes inside. Mary's sitting next to the German Shepherd coat, and she tries to get it switched, but didn't happen quick enough. But everybody sits down, and Lisa is really coming in hot to this season. She is clearly pissed at Whitney. She clearly wants to take Whitney down because Whitney said she was the real villain of the show in a podcast. And even if you were, wear that shit proudly because you are the main character at this point. But Lisa came in so hot that it was almost kind of a miss. Like, Whitney stayed pretty calm on her healing journey, and just like Lisa unraveled the more they got into it. She starts with another cheers or a toast, and Whitney's like, well, you talked about a podcast outside, so it sounds like you have a problem with me, so like, let's talk it out. And from there, the shit kicks off. Somehow we still are getting Meredith and Angie fighting. Angie is petty as hell. She's fighting with Meredith and she keeps calling Meredith a renter. She's like, well, I don't want a renter talking about my home. I don't want a renter talking about my business. Like, if I would have took a shot every time Angie said renter, I probably would have been drunk. It was petty as hell, but it was also hilarious because, like, it's a fact, you are a renter, and she could hold that over you, but it's just like, oh, no, you're invalid because you're a renter. Renters can't talk to me. That's the type of petty, rich drama that I watch these shows for, so I enjoyed it. Bronwyn tried to get Angie to move on. Angie was not having it. Which brings me to something. Yes, in this moment, Angie was not letting it go, but all of these women are like trying so hard to be like memes and GIFs and in the commercial. So this is all happening, and Heather takes her napkin and like puts it over her head, and she like puts her head back, and she's like, oh my god, just making a spectacle. And I wish she just would have put a bag over her head instead of a napkin. And yes, that was hateful, and I'll probably twist over my words in a second because God doesn't like ugly. But I just don't like the fact that all these women are so inauthentically trying to make a moment. Just like be the moment. Don't try to be iconic, just be iconic. Whatever that means to you. But like the try hard, like napkin stuff and that they all do is just like, it's so old. And it's clear you bitches are trying to be in a commercial. And if you were good at your job, you would just be in the commercial. Stop trying to be in the commercial. But yeah, so Angie Meredith moves on. Angie won't let it go. She finally moves on. Then we get into just like the drag out fight that pretty much wraps up the episode, which is, it starts as Lisa versus Whitney, but then it ends up as Lisa, Meredith, and Heather versus Whitney, and they are jumping her verbally. Like, they're jumping her, like, left cheek, right cheek. Like, they're just all screaming at her. And at first I thought this was like editing at work, but I think they were literally all screaming at her at one time. Like, Whitney was like, oh my god, this is a lot. Angie's like, you guys are like kind of bullying her, like, calm down. And at one point, Whitney says something to Lisa that lets Lisa know that somebody in the group has been talking about what she says. And if you know one thing about Lisa Barlow, don't lie about her, and please don't tell other people what she said, because she thinks that is the ultimate betrayal. So to make a long story short, we discovered that it was Angie, because Angie went over Whitney's new house to spill the beans. And who tells everybody that? Heather, because Lisa's like, hey, did you talk to Whitney about this? And Angie's kind of quiet, and Heather was like, well, Lisa said, it has to be one of you two. I only said it to you two, so was it you, Angie? What does Heather do? She goes, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Snitch. So Lisa stands up on Angie, which is apparently Lisa's new move. She stood up on the table like she was Phaedra and gonna hit her, but Angie was like, sit down. Don't do that to me, Lisa. And what Lisa sat down, and I just find the difference in, like, how do I say? We'll call it how different cultures fight for now. It's just funny because in Atlanta, it went a little different than how it did in Salt Lake City. But apparently Lisa's going to be standing up on people like she's trying to fight. Which, once again, gives main character energy, but she also got sat down real quick in that situation. But so Lisa's yelling at Angie. Everyone's yelling at Whitney. It all's like Lisa throws a drink, which once again, the whole mean commercial thing. It didn't land. You like threw the drink and everybody was like, who threw that? Like, people didn't even see that you threw it. And they were there. So imagine what we thought about it through the TV. So Lisa was kind of getting eaten up by Whitney one-on-one. She's like losing her mind, throwing drinks, screaming, standing up. So she looked like she was coming unraveled. And so in this situation, I hate to say it, I feel like Baby Gorgeous lost this first round. Because Whitney was like, oh, do you want to, like, meet the healed version of me? Because Lisa apparently was telling her that she needs to go heal herself. And so Lisa's like, yeah, show me the healed version of you. And Whitney just goes, fuck you. And Lisa was gagged. Like, gooped, gagged, like... And so Lisa kicks her out of the party. Whitney storms out of the party. Angie follows her. And that is how we end the first big fight in the first episode of Season 5 of the Salt Lake City Housewives. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, if you want to be legitimate. But this episode, top to bottom, was a great premiere. It set the tone, apparently, for the rest of the season, which the dynamics are shifting, the girls are fighting, and I can't wait to cover every single second of it. I have my new schedule down for my reviews, so please be locked, loaded, and prepared. We are coming for Salt Lake City this year, and I cannot wait. We're about to be fed, y'all. Fed. So that is it. Those were my thoughts for the episode. I'm sure if there's something else, I'll throw it in post-edit. But I just want to say thank you for being here. Do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And please don't miss the next episode because I am seated. All right. Peace and love, y'all.